So you're probably here because your dentist told you that you need to get some stuff yanked out of your head. Or maybe that your kid needs to get some junk yanked out of their head. You're not quite sure what to do about that. To remove the wisdom teeth. Or not to remove the wisdom teeth. That is the question. Hi, I'm Mike Frank. I'm a dentist. We're going to talk about wisdom teeth. Why would you chuck them? Why would you keep them? What's the best decision for you individually? That is the question. Healthcare decisions are very personal. I want to help you make a more informed decision in concert with your healthcare providers.
Hey you, you. Pause the video, read this. If you do something that's not so wise and it causes a problem, I'm not legally liable.
Why are wisdom teeth a problem anyway? Like, why do we have these teeth being all extra, causing a ruckus? So there's several anthropological theories as to why evolutionarily over time our jawbones may have shrank, leaving less room for the teeth, or possibly that our modern diet fails to properly stimulate the growth of our jawbone. Either way, there's less room for the teeth. You want to read more about that, as well as how to eat to be more dentally healthy? There's a book, I'll link it in the description. It's called The Dental Diet. It's by Dr. Stephen Lin. If you want a healthy mouth, you're a biology nerd, or you could just use some healthy recipe suggestions, this book is for you. Anthropological. The other thing about wisdom teeth is that you don't really need them in order to be able to chew well. We've done studies that demonstrate that about 80% of our chewing is accomplished by the first molar. That's the first big tooth toward the back of your mouth. It comes in when you're about 6 years old, and you need to protect that sucker. If it goes, other teeth get strained more easily throughout your life. They break down more easily. I see this all the time. So, first molar, really important tooth. We use the second molar a little bit. It's rare that you're doing a lot of chewing with a third molar. Third molars are your wisdom teeth. So most of the time, functionally, third molars are kind of worthless. That doesn't necessarily mean you should pull them out. If they're just sitting there not causing any trouble, maybe leave them alone. Just because a kid's a bench warmer doesn't mean you automatically kick them off the team. Get out of here, Timmy! Oh, come on, coach. Can't I just refill the water bottles and wash the towels? I just want to be part of the team. No, Timmy, you get out of here. You suck. Sometimes I feel bad for wisdom teeth. They're like poor little Timmy, the bench warmer. So sometimes wisdom teeth sit in the back of your mouth kind of uselessly, but they don't cause a problem. Other times they do cause problems. All right, so what kind of problems might they cause? Not so wise tooth problem number 1, gum tissue infection. If a wisdom tooth doesn't have enough room to come in all the way, it can get stuck with a flap of gum tissue hanging over top of it. Food gets stuck under there, you can't clean it well, the gums swell up, the tooth above your wisdom tooth can end up biting that gum tissue, making it swell and get irritated even more. That can be very painful. Let's be honest, biting yourself anywhere is rarely enjoyable. People are into different stuff. I'm not judging whatever you want to do, but as far as I know, there aren't a lot of people whose kink involves biting their lip while eating or something like that. But you do you. If this gum tissue issue happens to you, that's hard to say. Gum tissue issue happens to you. If this happens to you, you need to see a dentist first to take care of the infection, and then they'll be able to get the tooth out after the infection has resolved. Not so wise tooth problem number 2, chronic gum disease. So I just talked about an acute, painful gum tissue infection that can be associated with wisdom teeth. Sometimes wisdom teeth can sneakily contribute to a chronic gum tissue infection that gets worse and worse, and you don't even know it because it doesn't hurt. Why does that happen? Well, for one, wisdom teeth can be hard to clean. It's not always easy to brush and floss back there, and any teeth and gum tissue that you want to keep healthy needs to be brushed and flossed. And flossed. I will link some flossers that can help you reach back to the wisdom teeth in the video description. If you don't floss around wisdom teeth, they are at higher risk for gum disease as you age. The tricky thing is, most significant gum disease doesn't show up in your teens and 20s when you're making decisions about wisdom teeth. But It's coming down the line if you don't develop the right habits. Besides being difficult to clean because of their position, sometimes wisdom teeth can come in sideways. Basically, the wisdom tooth rams into the backside of your second molar instead of standing upright in a normal tooth position. That awkward position of that wisdom tooth blocks normal development of gum and bone tissue behind the second molar. Now, not only is the wisdom tooth more vulnerable to infection, but the second molar is as well. And again, the problem is that infection might not get bad enough until you're in your 30s or 40s or even later, and by then, it's a lot more difficult to deal with. When you're older, you can be at much greater risk for damaging the nerve that runs through your lower jaw and having permanent numbness in your lower lip, chin, and tongue. When you're older, you don't heal as well or as fast. Typically, you have to have bone grafting done so you don't leave a defect in your jaw. And that's not the case if you get it done when you're younger. And I'm not saying that every single sideways wisdom tooth is going to cause these problems, but it is a risk. I had a patient in her 70s develop a chronic draining infection that was just constantly giving her a bad taste in her mouth. I could see where it was draining up from where the wisdom tooth was located. I sent her to an oral surgeon to remove the wisdom tooth, and he wouldn't touch it just because she was too old and the risks were too high. So she just had to deal with having a chronic infection that was just draining into her mouth because the potential consequences of the surgery were worse. Sometimes it's just easier to take care of things when you're younger. I never would have predicted that that would have become an issue for her that late in life, but it happened. Hi, it's me again from the future. As you can see, I don't look like I did 2 seconds ago because I'm filming this on a different day. No, the reason why I'm adding this in is because I made this video and I was editing it, and then I was listening to Conan O'Brien's podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and Colin Quinn's episode, which if you're not listening to Conan's podcast, it's interesting if you're like a comedy fan. Instead of like the talk show format, he talks a little bit more about things that you wouldn't talk about on a talk show, family and stuff. Yeah, anyway, so I was listening to this podcast and it was episode 93 with Colin Quinn. If you don't know who Colin Quinn is, you should look up Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn and learn about Patrice O'Neal and Greg Giraldo and people like that. Look that up on YouTube. You're already on YouTube. Just look up Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. And if you're a fan of stand-up that kind of makes you think a little bit more, you got to pay attention. Colin Quinn, he's got a couple of specials on Netflix, and he's got a couple on HBO. He's good. He's funny. He's good at what he does. Funny and interesting. He's good at what he does. So the reason I'm bringing all this up, Conan talks about how he had to get a wisdom tooth out later in life when he was in his late 30s while he was hosting his late night show. And it sounds like from his description, he ended up with what's called a dry socket, and those can be very painful. So he had to have Andy Richter drop numbing medication down into the socket every night with the tweezers before he went on to do his show. And Conan does a very flattering impression of Andy. Open up, open up, open up. If Andy Richter sees this for some reason, I don't think that's what you sound like, but that's a pretty good impression of what Conan thinks you sound like. So take that up with him. So anyway, Conan was in a lot of pain, and he needed to have this numbing medication dropped with the tweezers into the back of his mouth, into the extraction site. And he couldn't do it himself, so he had to have Andy do it. Not the most convenient thing to have to do when you're a late night talk show host, to have to be, dropping stuff into your mouth, right before you go out on stage. And again, you tend to heal slower when you're older and this happens. Conan says on the podcast that he had to have Andy do this for him every night for about 3 weeks. Conan mentions that, Andy Richter, he's a nice guy and he has steady hands, which I think that's pretty much what all of us aspire to be as men, I'd put that on my tombstone, nice guy, steady hands. He also compares Andy dropping the numbing agent into his extraction socket to Luke Skywalker, shooting the laser into those pipes to take out the Death Star, the exhaust vent, whatever, precision that was required. And I don't know, inside baseball as a dentist, that made me laugh, because if you think it's difficult to drop a little numbing medication into a big old extraction socket in the mouth, just say thank you to your endodontist. Those are the dentists that specialize in doing root canals. And oh man, you want to talk about tiny holes that you have to work in. It is, look up some videos on YouTube of people doing root canals. They have to use microscopes. It's crazy how tiny I don't even understand. Like, I do some root canals, but not the difficult ones, because it's so hard. It's so hard. That's root canals. If dropping something into an extraction socket is Luke Skywalker on the Death Star, I don't know what you compare root canals to. But what am I trying to say here? Main points: listen to Conan O'Brien's podcast, because it's interesting and funny and entertaining. As you get older, it takes longer to heal when you take a wisdom tooth out, and it can be more painful. Andy Richter is a nice guy with steady hands. But that being said, very much appreciate your endodontists out there, because they are working with such tiny, tiny holes that they have to put things in and take things out of, and it's just plain difficult. Luke Skywalker, Death Star level difficult to be an endodontist. So... Not so wise tooth problem number 3, cavities. Wisdom teeth are hard to clean, which also makes them more likely to get cavities if they do erupt all the way into the mouth. If they stay completely covered by gum tissue and bone, they're fully impacted, then there is no risk of getting cavities. If your wisdom teeth do come part of the way in or all of the way in, then I highly recommend that you watch the videos on my channel about how to eat and drink in order to prevent tooth decay. Brushing and flossing are really important, but just as important, and maybe even more important, is how you eat and drink what you eat and drink. Honestly, you don't need to get cavities on any of your teeth, including your wisdom teeth, but you need to understand and follow some basic rules. I have other videos on my channel that explain those things. Check them out. Not so wise tooth problem number 4, damage to adjacent teeth. As I mentioned before, sometimes wisdom teeth come in sideways and sort of ram into the back of second molars. When the wisdom tooth touches the roots of the second molar, sometimes it can cause a process called resorption. This is when your own body's cells on the outside of the wisdom tooth start attacking the cells of the second molar and breaking them down. This is the same process that dissolves the roots of our baby teeth when our adult teeth come up underneath them. That's why your baby teeth get loose, and sometimes you can play dentist at home and take them out yourself. If this is happening and you remove the wisdom tooth, then that resorption process will stop and the second molar should be fine. As long as you get the wisdom tooth out soon enough, usually the resorption damage isn't significant enough that your dentist will have to do any kind of repair work on that second molar. Your dentist can monitor the resorption on the second molar over time to make sure it doesn't get any worse, but once the wisdom tooth is out of there, that's unlikely. Not so wise tooth problem number 5, cysts. I read a dental advice article one time that said if you don't get your wisdom teeth removed, you have a 25% chance of eventually developing cancer around the wisdom tooth. No, that's completely wrong. That's absurd. Like, this person said they were a dentist, but I don't know where they were getting their research, because no, that is not true at all. Do not listen to anyone telling you that. Now, there is a small chance, somewhere between 1 and 3%, depending on the research you look at, that if you leave an impacted wisdom tooth in place, at some point down the line, it may develop a cyst around it. A cyst is an abnormal growth, but it is not what you typically think of when you hear the word cancer. It's very unlikely to develop into a malignant growth, the type that can spread to other parts of your body and eventually kill you. It's not that, okay? I repeat, it is not that. Cysts can cause some problems in the jaw. You know, if they get big enough, they can push on teeth and move them out of position. They can weaken the jaw and make it more susceptible to fracture. If a cyst starts to develop, you do typically want to get rid of it. That's why dentists will periodically take an x-ray that shows your entire jaw, because cysts are rare, but if they do start to develop, we want to catch them early. Not so wise tooth problem number 6, weakening the jaw. All right, this one's unlikely to be a problem for you, but if you plan on getting punched in the jaw, it could be. Oh no, why would I punch myself in the face? I don't know, I probably should have filmed this at like a higher frame rate, and then I could have done it in like actual slow motion, but these videos take me long enough to make, and if they become popular enough, maybe I'll up my production value and film some stuff in slow motion. But I'm not there yet, okay? Impacted wisdom teeth take up space in the jaw where bone would otherwise fill in. Having more bone here in the lower jaw makes the bone denser and stronger. You get hit here and have a wisdom tooth instead of bone, technically, theoretically, your jaw is more likely to break. So for all of you watching this planning on being MMA fighters, probably get your wisdom teeth out, give it a year or so for that bone to heal in, get nice and dense before you start to, go and dance and tussle around with anybody in the octagon. That's what they do in the octagon, right? They dance and tussle. I'm going to the octagon to dance and tussle. They wouldn't let me be on the team, so I'm going to the octagon on my own. All right, well, Timmy, you're probably going to get your jaw busted. So, not so wise tooth problem number 7. Interference with other dental work. So this is a weird one, but it does happen. So let's say you have an impacted wisdom tooth and then you lose some other teeth later in life. And then we go to replace those teeth that you lost with a partial denture or a denture. Strangely enough, the pressure from the denture on the bone above the wisdom tooth can stimulate that wisdom tooth to erupt out of the bone, come through the gum tissue, kind of like a zombie rising from the grave. Now all of a sudden, the wisdom tooth's in the way, bumping into where the denture wants to go. It doesn't fit anymore. That's annoying. Now you got to get the tooth removed. You got to readapt the denture to the tissue. That's a hassle. Wisdom teeth can also interfere with night guards if you use one of those. My first suggestion would be keep your teeth healthy so that you never have to get dentures. You really do have the ability to keep your teeth healthy for a lifetime. You don't need to get cavities. You don't need to get gum disease. I'm a big believer in preventative medicine. That's what my YouTube channel is all about. I want you to feel empowered to maximize and improve your own health. Most of the time, you don't need a dentist like me to do that for you. As a matter of fact, usually you can do it better than we can do it. You just have to know what to do and how to do it. Somebody's got to teach you this stuff. That's why I'm making these videos. Last potential problem with wisdom teeth, I hear this from patients all the time. People are always asking this. Do wisdom teeth cause crowding of your front teeth? Will wisdom teeth coming in mess up your straight teeth after you finish with braces? No. I repeat, no, 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 and no. Oh, and also, no. This is not true. It's a dental old wives' tale. One tooth coming in the back of an entire row of teeth cannot shove the entire row forward and mess up the teeth up front. It's a myth. Consider it busted. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might be thinking, well, hold on. You said cysts could move teeth, and wisdom teeth can get cysts around them, so all right, fine, touche. If a wisdom tooth were to develop a large cyst, again, we're talking about a 1 to 3%-ish chance, and the cyst got large enough and displaced some teeth, maybe that could cause a crowding issue. Maybe. But a normal wisdom tooth bumping into a second molar? No, it's not happening. It's not going to cause crowding of any of your teeth. Okay, fine, but lots of people do get crowding of their front teeth after they get their braces off as they age. What's up with that? There's a few possible causes. First of all, you need to wear retainers. If you don't, it's very likely the front teeth will shift. The balance of pressure from our lips, cheek, and tongue determine where the teeth sit in the mouth. Braces don't change the rest of your face. The lips, cheek, and tongue, they're going to push the same old way that they used to, and that's going to move the teeth unless there's something else there counteracting that force. If you get your braces off young and you're still growing and you're not using retainers, there's a possibility that your lower jaw growth outpaces your upper jaw growth. So it pushes your lower teeth forward faster than your upper teeth are moving forward. So the lower teeth run into the backs of the upper teeth. That could cause crowding and shifting of the teeth. The other possibility is that if you damage your teeth in some way, whether that's with an accident, you lose a tooth, you have a clenching or grinding issue that causes chipping or fracturing of teeth, and your bite relationship changes. Once the bite changes, all of a sudden you could get shifting of the teeth in different ways, especially if you're not wearing retainers. Bottom line, if you wear retainers after orthodontics, you're unlikely to have a problem. If you don't wear retainers of some kind after orthodontics, you very well might have some problems with relapse. Either way, it's not your wisdom tooth's fault. Leave Timmy alone, right? Let him wash the towels and fill up the water bottles. Hopefully that gives you a better idea of what can go wrong with wisdom teeth. Problems are more likely later in life, but they're not guaranteed to occur. The trouble is, wisdom teeth are way easier to remove when you're young. We just don't know for sure what's going to happen. We have to make decisions based on imperfect information. The ideal time to remove wisdom teeth is when the roots of the teeth are about halfway to 2/3 of the way formed. Depending on the patient, you're typically talking age 15 to 20-ish. The thing is, as the roots get longer, they get closer to the nerve in the lower jaw, and that's not good. Ideally, if you're going to get your wisdom teeth taken out, you want to make your mind up, upper limit, age 25. You start inching more towards age 30, risks of complications increase, you don't heal as well. So talk to a dentist or oral surgeon that you trust when you're young, 16, 17, 18. Have them evaluate the position of your wisdom teeth and discuss what potential problems could come up. Then make a decision that makes sense for you. And maybe you want to keep your wisdom teeth. That might be a great choice. If they erupt into a normal position, you can clean them well. Hang on to those suckers. You have a well-developed jaw. Congratulations. Also, if they're fully impacted, buried underneath the bone, not anywhere close to any other teeth, not causing any discomfort, you've got a 1 to 3% chance of cyst development. It's pretty low. Unless you get hit right there in the jaw, you're probably going to be fine. Especially if you're already older than age 25 or 30, probably let sleeping dogs lie, don't poke the bear. If somehow this video was not enough information for you about wisdom teeth, I wrote another article on medium.com. I'll link that in the video description. You can read more there. Please like this video. That helps me a lot. Subscribe if you want to. I'd appreciate that. Share this video with anyone you know who you think would benefit from the information. Also, please, ask questions in the comments below. Let me know, what you liked, didn't like, what I could do better in future videos. If you don't want to subscribe to my channel, which you should, but if you don't want to, I don't know, I guess you could comment with your favorite macaroni and cheese recipes. That would help me out. I think that would help a lot of us. Like gourmet mac and cheese, like grandma's recipe. All I'm saying is if you're not going to subscribe, at least contribute something to the group, I feel like I told you guys a lot about wisdom teeth. I feel like that's at least worth a couple of macaroni and cheese recipes, right? Come on, help a guy out. Also, if you've been watching this video and you're like, I want this guy to take out my wisdom teeth. I don't really do that much. Typically, I'll refer you to see an oral surgeon that's a specialist who spent another 5 or 6 years in residency. 5 or 6 years! 5 or 6 years in residency after dental school, learning everything there is to learn about jaw surgery and such. They're a lot better at taking out wisdom teeth than I am. You're in good hands. Am I going to get sued if I mention, it's like, those commercials for that car insurance, you're in good hands. You're in good hands. I can't, my voice isn't that deep. I don't know but you're in good hands with oral surgeons. That's what typically, if you're getting your wisdom teeth out, you're typically in good hands with an oral surgeon. Still, as a general dentist, I do counsel patients about wisdom teeth all the time. And the same things come up over and over. That's why I made this video. I wish I had a crystal ball that I could predict which teeth are going to have problems and which ones aren't, but I don't and I can't. I can only give risk estimates, and then you have to make a decision about what's best for you based on how risk averse you are. Maybe you like to gamble. I don't know your life. Maybe the idea of hanging on to a risky wisdom tooth, maybe that's thrilling to you. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have my crazy wisdom teeth mess up my mouth. I don't know, maybe that's exciting to you. Ultimately, it's your choice. I was reading this book, it's called Innumeracy, and it's all about how us Americans are very illiterate when it comes to mathematics and statistics, and that leads us to make all sorts of really dumb decisions in life. And I really do wish I had more informative statistics to offer you to help you make a good decision about your wisdom teeth, but I don't. I have very limited evidence in the form of stories from my own experience. I've seen cysts, I've seen gum disease, I've seen cavities, I've seen resorption, I've seen people who've had surgery and ended up with complications, but I don't have great statistics on the risk of those various things to share with you. The Medium article that I wrote, that I linked in the description, does have some links to other resources that have more information that you can dig into if you want. They at least try to quantify some of this stuff. Anyway, the author of that Innumeracy book, John Allen Paulos, he talks at one point about this idea for something called a safety index. Because most people watch the news and they get afraid of dumb stuff. But the reality is you're a lot more likely to die in a car crash than you are from violent crime. You're a lot more likely to die from smoking than you are from a car crash. So the idea of this safety index would be to quantify risk and put it all on the same numerical scale so that any given activity you could reference, oh, what's the safety index for this procedure or this activity? And the higher the number, the safer it is. Basically, it would simplify everything for our dumb human brains because we're not really designed evolutionarily to handle math very well. It would be really nice to have that, safety index data for individual medical procedures. Unfortunately, we don't. It would be cool. It would be pretty useful. Get on that. Get to work. Statisticians and machine learning algorithm designers. I don't even know who makes machine learning algorithms. I don't know who does that. I feel like I'm on a roll here recommending books in this video, so I'm going to recommend another one. Another book you should read if you want to make better decisions. This one right here, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. Honestly, this is a crazy good book. It's very interesting. You'll learn a thing or two about how your brain works or doesn't work quite so well. It explains a lot about common human behaviors, if you're into that kind of thing. Psychology, behavioral economics, game theory. If you haven't figured it out, I'm no longer talking about wisdom teeth. I'm just rambling about books. But it is related because we are talking about making good decisions for yourself. So yeah, I'll link that Daniel Kahneman book in the video description as well if you're interested. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely day. You can watch one of these other videos that I have on my channel. Go check out the rest of my channel, watch some other videos, learn some more stuff. You're a peach. Grazie. Well, there's several anthropological oh, not to remove the wisdom teeth. That is the question. To remove the wisdom teeth, or not to remove the wisdom teeth. That's what we're trying to figure out. By golly, to remove the wisdom teeth, or not to remove the wisdom teeth. I mean, that is the question. Well, not to remove the wisdom teeth. That's what we're trying to figure out here. That's the question.
To remove the wisdom teeth, or to watch Jeopardy? I'm gonna go watch Jeopardy.
Anthropological. I am Batman. Okay, yeah, that was Batman?
I'm gonna go watch Jeopardy.